Good Lord, what a great intro. What's up, everybody? Hang on. Where's the... Oh, Amanda Wheeler's with us today. Again, nope, she's not just her name. You should follow her on Twitter, though. You should definitely follow her on Twitter. I don't know why I can't find the correct lower third, but that's annoying. What's up, everybody? Welcome back, or welcome back to TBN. TBN, this is the live stream where we focus down on all the really critically important parts of the vape industry. News, science, policy, legislation, nicotine, smoking, Bloomberg, World Health Organization, harm reduction, all the things. That's what we do here. I am your really bad libertarian host, freedom-enjoying bad libertarian host, GrimmGreen, joined now by my far-left fact-checker. It's Danielle Jones.
Hi.
Hi, Danielle Jones.
Oh, I'm just over here checking facts on the left.
She does. She's a fact checker. We were having a very lively discussion about economics before this. Really very good, but we'll leave that in the pre-show because we're here today to talk about vaping across the world, you guys. Vaping across the world. One thing that I feel like happens, I'm very guilty of it, is, U.S. advocates, we get blinders on. We get like U.S. blinders on. And Canadian advocates, like Canadian blinders. It's like you get focused down, obviously, on your home country because that's what directly affects you.
Yep.
But vaping is a very global thing. It's a very global movement, and there are literally millions and millions and millions and millions of vapors across the world. Sometimes, like I said, we get focused down on our own country. So today, I thought we would take some time to just talk about the rest of the world. Talk about literally everything that's going on that's not in the United States of America. Although we will definitely start off with things that are going on in the United States of America. I got to tell you, I've been crazy distracted all day long today. Crazy distracted. There's elections going on. California doesn't get to do any voting, but
I was going to say, nothing
other
for
states,
us.
yeah, nothing for us. Other states are doing a lot of voting today. So if you're in a state that's voting today, go vote for sure. Participate in the system. It's your duty.
Yeah, it is your duty.
It's your duty as an American. It's not, it is kind of your duty, isn't it, to vote?
It is your duty.
I've always said that I also believe it's an American virtue to not vote. I think that if you are looking at the candidates and you don't want to vote for either of them, then you should not vote for either of them. Don't you think? You're not a lesser of two evils. You're a lesser of two evils person. Okay.
Vote.
That's fine. Vote. Always vote.
Vote. I don't
Always
know. As
vote.
like a woman who, wasn't, women weren't always allowed to vote.
No, you weren't.
I'm like,
I can't believe we gave you that.
How are you? How are you guys just not voting? Like, not everybody has had that privilege.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that can't vote that wish they could. And I think that it is something that some people take for granted. And I also think that it is our job as Americans to vote because these things affect you. So what? How are you just not caring?
Vote. And if you don't vote, I guess you do get to complain. You just, nobody will listen to you. If you don't vote, I feel like you don't get to complain.
Yeah, if you don't vote, I don't want to hear it. I don't.
Well,
write somebody's name in if you have to.
I spent many years of my life not caring, not voting. Only voted in presidential elections, and even then, it was only for the president. It wasn't anything else. I never voted locally when I lived up in Tahoe area, ever. It wasn't until I got into L.A. that I started caring about local politics. Really, with vaping and local politics is when I actually started caring and voting and researching every individual candidate, regardless of if it's, superintendent of District 12 K through L, schools. It's like, I am doing a deep dive on this person and I'm going to decide who to vote for,
Oh, my husband and I dedicate a night to it. When it's voting night, we've got iPads, tablets, pieces of paper. We're Googling everybody. We're seeing what the newspapers recommend. We're looking at people's websites. We're doing all the things.
All the things. It's kind of fun. It feels like you're really part of the process. I like it.
Exactly.
I like it a lot.
You know, and some of it is obviously biased. Like I'm looking at somebody's resume and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't feel you're qualified for this position.
Yeah.
You know, you haven't given me enough to think that you are, and your talking points are dumb. So I'm not voting for you. Like what they put out is important because, you know, it's not like I can see their entire life from my little phone. So what's on your website is real important, candidates, because that's what I'm looking at.
It is.
And when I see your dumb talking points, I'm
did you see this guy, the New York gubernatorial candidate, got into an argument, like a shouting match with security at the polling place? Did you read this news today?
I did not.
This guy,
why you do that?
He's crazy. He's not crazy. Look, I'm not going to say that. He desperately wanted. This is the guy that's on the ballot for a political position of power in the state of New York. Okay. He desperately wanted to bring his cat to the polling place to vote with his cat. He has lots of cats, and he brought one special cat with him to vote.
Okay.
The security at the polling place said, I'm sorry, you can't have a cat in here. This, that, and the other reasons. You can either take your cat home and vote, or you can leave your cat here, go in and vote. I'll give you your cat when you come back. They got into a big yelling match that ended with the guy on the ballot shouting to security, arrest me then, arrest me then.
Why though? Why do
though?
That?
I don't know.
Hand kitty off to poll worker, go vote.
Go
then
vote.
Come back out.
And
this
you're
is
trying
a very reasonable request. People are allergic to cats. Your cat will get loose and disrupt all the voting.
I mean,
this is not unreasonable.
It's just a regular rule, like no cats allowed in the polling place. Well, law and order, you guys. What happened to that?
I mean, just be a
just
little
follow
reasonable.
the rules. It's ridiculous. So I've been following that. I've been following the Kyle Rittenhouse thing because that's fascinating to me.
God.
I've been so distracted. I've been following the QAnon in Dallas.
Oh God. Okay, that I saw.
This is one of the highlights of my day, truly and honestly. Expecting a dead politician to come back to life and reinstate Trump.
Years lately or something. What? No, not 20. He's
22 years. He's been dead 22? For 22 years. Yeah.
Okay.
John F. Kennedy Jr. has been dead for 22 years, and he's going to come back to life and reinstate Trump as president. You didn't know that this was happening today?
Wait. First off, I can't keep any Kennedys straight. Which is the president one that got assassinated?
Robert F. Kennedy. Was assassinated, I believe.
So who's the one that they think is coming back to life?
John Kennedy, JFK Jr.
And who is that to
John
the former
F. Kennedy
president?
Jr.? No, Robert Kennedy was his brother. John Kennedy was the president. JFK Jr. is coming back from the dead.
I don't keep track of who people are.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know the Kennedys.
No, I know that there's a famous one that was the president and was assassinated.
He was.
And then he had family members and they've done other stuff.
Yep.
But I don't know.
The Kennedys.
Is there a Bobby Kennedy? I think
there was a Bobby Kennedy. As far as I know, he was the least attractive Kennedy. Yeah. Like the Kennedys are kind of renowned for being that, dashing New Hampshire, sweater around your collar on a yacht type of Kennedy regalness type of stuff. And
we call those yuppies. And
in the 80s we called them yuppies. We did. We called them yuppies. So I've been glued to that because that's been incredible. They started gathering last night. They've been there all night long.
Because clearly
I don't know. Are they still there?
Like this, I feel that this is very embarrassing for them. I'm embarrassed for them.
I'm kind of embarrassed for them too. But I'm also kind of not, because let's just keep rolling with this. I'm kind of not. Let's just keep rolling with this. Okay. Okay. Now listen, let's talk about some international vapings and the such as that are going on. In fact, we're just going to jump into it. This is our only main thing. Yeah. Vaping worldwide. That's what we're here to do. And we're going to start off our trip around the globe in the good old United States of America, where vaping is just out of control. Nothing makes any sense anymore. I think we're all kind of up to speed on what's going on in the United States, but there was some recent order rescissions. Am I saying that correctly?
I think there's lots of legal terms, and I'm not a lawyer, but I know yesterday, I believe, and Jim McDonald from Vaping 360 has one giant article that he's constantly updating for all of these like legal lawsuity appeal things. Yep. So if you want all the deets, go look at that. I'm sure Nick can put it in the description or something.
In the chat and the description.
But from what I recall yesterday, I believe Avail Vapor, their MDO'd stuff was, let's see, I think it was like halted pending a re-review of their
right,
something. So they're not being enforced against while they re-review the application. It's legal terms. There's probably a stay word in there somewhere.
Stay, stay. Marketing stay. The most recent one was Avail.
Yeah,
Avail Vapor. Avail Vapor is huge, big company. What Avail Vapor did throughout 2017 and 2018 was just buy small vape companies and bring them under the Avail Vapor sort of umbrella. They were buying a lot of like brick and mortar retail shops and swapping them to Avail Vapor shops. Avail Vapor is a big company with lots of products on the market, but they're back under review as well. And it's great because, like you said, Jim McDonald has this whole like huge list of vape companies challenging their FDA marketing denial orders. We've talked about some of these before. 7 Days LLC, Avail Vapor, Bad Motter Fogger. I love that name.
I know.
And I love that is like a name that's out there in the ether now. It's like the FDA is being served a lawsuit by Bad Motter Fogger. And I just love that so much. I just picture like a modder from like 2012 that's like building his own tanks or something, and he calls them big modder foggers or something. That's what I picture. But BD Vapor as well. Breeze Smoke LLC, Cloud House, Cloud9 Vapor Products, Diamond Vapor LLC, eLiquid Brands LLC, ECS Global, Electric Clouds, Fumizer
something?
Fumizer?
I don't know.
Why does that name sound familiar? Let's do some fact checking here on Fumizer. Okay, they do e-liquids.
Some of these are hard to track because it'll be like Triton, for example, is like a liquid manufacturer that manufactures a bunch of lines that we've all heard of, right? Like Suicide Bunny and all kinds of stuff. But it's not called Suicide Bunny. It's called Triton, which is like, who is that?
Yep. Oh, so Fumizer does Twist.
Okay, I think I'd heard that. Yeah.
Twist. And it says Twist is still in PMTA review. It's back under PMTA review. Twist is a wildly popular e-liquid brand.
I've heard of it.
Wildly popular e-liquid brand. Grippum LLC, Johnny Copper, Liquid Labs, Lotus Vaping, Magellan, which is a huge distribution organization, My Vape Order, Nude Nicotine, Prohibition Juice Co., Simple Vapor Company, SV Packaging, SWT Global Company, Triton, Turning Point Brands, Vapetasia, lots. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and say lots of U.S. vendors that were served MDOs are fighting them legally in the courts. I think this is great. I think this is just the national anthem is playing in the background right now. I'm like, yes, USA, let's go with some lawsuits, baby. Let's bring the FDA down because FDA pretty clearly bent some rules by creating new product standards
basically,
without going through the process. So we know that they already did that, and that's bad and wrong and possibly not legal. Potentially
unlawful, as that judge said.
Potentially unlawful. And so far, now all we've heard from these lawsuits is one of them, right? It was just one of them. The Turning Point Brands judge basically sided with Turning Point Brands and said, no, what the FDA was capricious and possibly unlawful.
That was Triton. The Turning Point's one that they filed, and then FDA went, whoopsie, my bad, and put it back in review. So they didn't even have to get into court stuff. They filed, but they didn't have to go very far. FDA voluntarily, withdrew the MDO or whatever they call it. Right. Triton is the one where we had the judge write their opinion on the stay pending, further hearings on the actual appeal itself. They're the ones that got spanked by the judges. That was Triton, which happened. We talked about it on the vlog, but I think it happened in between this TBN and last TBN.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot you came on the vlog. That was so fun.
Dude, you guys should go watch it.
The Halloween vlog was so fun.
I was Iron Girl. It was amazing.
It was kick-ass.
Well, so I had 2 costumes.
You were a Jedi.
I came on earlier and I was a Jedi, and then I left, and then I came back as Iron Girl, if you will. Iron Woman. And I have a dope mask that really
opens and light. You really want to see this mask.
Yeah,
what a great time.
That was super fun.
That was super fun. I think we did talk about it on that vlog. And yeah, this judge smacked the bottom of FDA deliberately and forcefully, and it just felt good.
Yeah, it did.
It just felt good to see US FDA getting put in their place a little bit. And that's kind of where we're at. There's still the call to action for the vapor tax, right?
Right. So the interesting thing about the vapor tax is, from what we understand right now, it appears that it has been removed from the plan.
Oh.
But that is good. Oh. However, as we know with these
breaking news here on TBN.
Amanda talked about it on Monday. We've known this a little bit. People aren't jumping up and down and celebrating.
Shouting it from the rooftops.
Right. We're not, because these things can pop right back in at a moment's notice. If you let up pressure, all of a sudden the next draft that comes out, it's back in there.
Vapor
you know
tax.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So it's out in the current draft, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay out, and we need to keep pressure on. So please keep doing the CASA call to action. If you've already done it, do it again. Get your mom to do it. Get your dad to do it. Get your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your neighbor, anybody you know. Get more people to do it. If you've done it so many times you're blue in the face, start tweeting at your legislators. I mean, just keep the pressure on.
Yeah.
Because while it is out, we need to keep it out. Because if we get lazy, they can, they're not looking. Put it back in.
Right in there. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of how it works in the United States.
Right.
And this is going to be a thing. A vape tax is something that I think we are going to be fighting in perpetuity till fucking forever.
Yeah.
They're always going to want to tax the shit
States and
out of this.
localities are doing it too. We have to fight this on a bunch of fronts.
Yes. Always fight the tax. Always fight the tax. That's insane that they want to tax.
Oh, a crazy amount too. So what we've been doing is working, but you need to keep doing it. Now is not the time to rest. Now is the time to, it's like you're so close to the finish line, right? You got to keep running.
Keep pushing.
It's right there. You can see it. Keep running. Okay. Keep sending those calls to action. Keep tweeting, keep calling, keep sending emails, all the things, because we're going to make sure this stays out of the bill.
Yes. Make sure that this stays out of the bill. That's actually some okay news that we think that this has been pulled.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief. I was like, okay. So with no nicotine tax, that means that some things are going to be a little bit safer, like DIY. This nicotine tax was going to affect a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
Detrimentally. That's good.
And synthetic as well.
And synthetic as well. Yeah. Synthetic
which is a crazy
as well.
tax. And the fight's not over yet, because it's not over until that bill gets signed and we know it's not in there, right? That's
and we know for
up
sure.
until that point that a signature is put on it, they can slip it back in there. So do not keep the pressure on.
Can Chasing Clouds and Flavor Reduce do the call to action more than one time yourself personally?
I think that you can. I feel like I've heard people tell me that they can do it, so I believe the answer to that is yes.
Absolutely, Chasing Clouds. I think there was a super chat that came into Sexy King Phil says, I placed an order on TBD e-liquids website. I got rainbow sherbet and berry cool. Oh, 2 30ml bottles for under $40. Have you tried any juice from this company? I cannot say that I have ever heard of TBD e-liquids. Have you?
I have not. To be determined e-liquids?
To be determined e-liquids. But look, it looks like you got a screaming deal. 2 30ml bottles for under $40. I feel like all things considered, that's not bad at all. Now
I'm full DIY at this point.
With you are full DIY.
I'm full DIY.
You just DIY all your own e-liquid?
Yep.
What do you got? Like one flavor and then that's it you do?
I do one flavor. I've experimented a little bit. I talked to my DIY friends. I've tried a couple. I actually have so I have a little storage compartment back here.
Yeah, as you should. As you should.
All of my various tests,
recipes. Okay.
All my, recipes and things that I've tried. I haven't found anything that I'm like as obsessed as my like go-to flavor.
Sure.
Sometimes somebody suggested that I add a little bit of blueberry to my go-to flavor, and that was quite delicious. So I might do that again. But I'm all about that. Like if it's some kind of red candy, I'm into it. Like
give it to me. Yeah.
Because my all day vape is a raspberry red licorice, basically. Yeah. And so I've tried like a couple other variations with like Swedish fish flavoring and licorice and other things. And but like my one is like, oh, it's my favorite. So I've been playing around. Somebody sent me a recipe for a clone of. Do you remember Carnage by Animal?
Yes. Dude, I love Carnage.
I vaped the bananas out of that flavor for a long time. And so I want to try the clone and see how good it is. Neverhand says, wow, the big bottle. Yeah, this is like somewhere around 470 milliliters. And so I mix up one of these bad boys. I need to do another one because I'm getting low. And then I transfer it into my, smaller bottles. And this lasts me, I want to say like probably a month. I put dates on my recipes so I know when I made them.
And that lasts you a month?
Let me confirm that for you. I don't want to report fake news.
Yeah, don't report. We need to fact check this shit.
Let me fact check. Hang on, I have to go through my.
And it's
here we go.
So you just do 3 milligram, right?
Mm-hmm. I made this on the 22nd of September. Mm-hmm. It is now November 2nd. Oh yeah. And I've still probably got.
Oh well, yeah, over a month.
1 or 2 60 mLs that I could get out of this, and I do a 60 ml every 4-ish days, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it lasts me over a month, and that's how I roll these days.
Yeah, Sexy King Phil, give me them recipes. Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't DIY.
So easy.
I know people that DIY, and I just at this point with e-liquid, I'm at the I'll just vape whatever I have phase. I'm not being picky with anything. I keep some of my special liquid bottles that I really love. Like maybe I'll ration those a little bit, but I get great liquids from like my patrons who DIY, from my subscribers who DIY. Sometimes they'll try to be like, here's a Yig clone, here's a this clone, try this, try that. So I feel really fortunate to be able to have this like smorgasbord of e-liquids.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where I don't throw anything away. Like if there is 1 mil in a bottle, that mil will get vaped.
Oh yeah. No,
nothing is getting thrown away.
I go all the way down to when I'm like trying to drip and it's like making that like ketchup, last of the ketchup farting out of the bottle sounds. I'm like, like, come on, give it a minute.
Give me 1 drip. Give me 2 drips. Come on.
No, I go all the way. But yeah, no, I love, here's the crazy thing. So I've been making soap, as you know, for I don't know, a year or 2 or something, like a while, probably somewhere between 1 to 2 years. I've been making soap. If you guys didn't know, I love making soap.
And it's good soap.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's legit soap.
Thank you. I give it to Nick. He has special shaving soap that I made for him.
And a brush. And a brush.
Yeah, it's like old-fashioned shaving, you guys. So I make a shaving soap.
Soapy.
You soap it up.
It's the best.
Apply it.
It's the best. And now I'm shaving a lot more. You know, my whole face.
All the men that I have sent my shaving soap to are like,
it's legit. Yeah, it's legit.
And it lasts forever.
So you just went from soap to e-liquid.
So basically, sorry why I get real excited talking about soap. You have to cut me off. So I've been making soap for a while, and when I started doing DIY, I was like, oh, this is just like soap. This is fine. This is easy. You're a tiny scale with your tiny bottle, and you're weighing things out. That's all you're doing. It's really easy.
Yeah.
It's really easy. It's just like making soap, except you don't even have to heat anything up. So that's even better.
And you don't have to taste your soap either. So
no, you don't taste soap. You might sniff it, but you don't taste it.
You don't taste it.
The most annoying thing about DIYing for me is like letting things steep. That drives me insane. I like instant gratification. And I've talked to, I know some people don't steep, but with my like candy fruit flavors, from what I've heard from most people, it's best to let it steep for like 2 to 3 days or so. Just to, let it, all the flavors commingle, if you will.
Look, I agree.
I have to set it aside and I look at it and I'm like, are you ready yet?
One thing that you might look into, and this is just pro tip from Homeboy OC. Occasionally, like when we were creating that baked line, Dwayne was down at my house like for 3 weeks in a row, and we just spent every weekend just mixing. And one of the things that he had, now that we're way off topic, one of the things that he had was a you put the glass beaker on it and it stirs your e-liquid.
Okay.
And warms it as it's stirring it.
Oh,
and while it's happening, you can like notice it changes color. Like it warms and stirs it and it like speed steeps it. So you get a little bit more of like a steeped flavor out of your fresh mix.
Fancy.
Look, it's a thing. It's cool. I'm not telling you to.
That is very fancy.
It's pretty fancy.
I've worked out a system wherein like I check, right? And when I'm getting a little low, so like probably in the next week or so, I will make a new giant bottle and then I will set it off to the side. And by the time I finish this, the other one's ready.
That's smart.
Well, that's
you got a good system. If only our US FDA could be so could have a system that was that efficient, that they don't. And that's why we're lawsuits in the USA. And that's just how it goes. And that's where we're at.
Yep.
In the United States of America. Obviously, we'll report back as much as we possibly can. Let's move on to Straya. What the heck? Straya, Australia.
Was that short for Australia? Okay, I was
Straya,
like, why don't I know what that country is?
Straya, here's what I learned too, is I didn't know that I apologize to the Australians and any New Zealanders in the chat. Your flags are very similar, okay? The New Zealand flag and the Straya flag are real close, and I thought Google was pranking me when I was searching for them, because I'd search for Australian flag and it would bring up what looked like the New Zealand flag, and I'd go, that doesn't quite look right. Two different flags that look very, very similar.
Gotcha.
But in the world of vaping, Australia's not in a great place right now with vaping. Probably, I would say the worst spot right now for vaping is Australia, unless you count India or
making it like flat out totally
somewhere
illegal,
where it's like
go to jail.
Completely illegal, go to jail. I can't think of a place that's worse off than Australia. Sticking with that horrible prescription model. Model. It's inconvenient. You have to jump through hoops. The Australian Medical Association is encouraging doctors to not give out nicotine prescriptions. So if you can find a doctor that will give you a nicotine prescription, then that's just a bonus. And then you have to plan ahead with how much nicotine you want to use, so that, if you use 12 milligrams sometimes or 3 milligrams sometimes, you have to think about nicotine concentrations and how much nicotine you're going to use like over the course of the year before your prescription runs out. It's insane. It's actual insanity. But one person in Straya, the great Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, who has been on this stream in the past, has written a book, and he's releasing a book that's called Stop Smoking, Start Vaping, by Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, The Healthy Truth About Vaping. I'm very excited about this book. I don't know if it's going to make any huge waves in Australia, but I would really like it to. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to add this book to the list of books that, like, I don't read. I have Jacob Greer's book.
Oh, I still haven't read that.
That I still haven't read. Jacob, I'm sorry.
I'm going to do it. I
know.
Swear to God.
I keep saying the same thing.
I'm going to.
I keep saying the same thing. You want to see how far I got? Nope. Contents. That's how far Nick got in this book.
I think I got like 3 pages and then I got distracted. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I have a hard time sitting down and reading a thing unless there's like vampires and people having sex or something. I'm really down for that.
Right,
but
not
I have
so
a hard
much
time
like tobacco policy and
I need to do it. I'm gonna do it. I just haven't yet.
Yes. Same. Same. So I'm adding this book to the list of books I need to read, the Colin Mendelsohn book. I'll read it after The Rediscovery of Tobacco. And I always show this book, but Logan Exhales sent me this book on Liberty and Drugs. This one I got a little bit farther into. I was on page 10 of on Liberty and Drugs. Okay. My biggest problem with reading is I'm dyslexic, so it's difficult.
Yeah.
Super difficult. But look, Colin Mendelsohn has a book out, or it's coming out. You can get it anywhere books are books, and get the book and read it, because Colin Mendelsohn is one of the doctors in Australia writing nicotine prescriptions. And he's one of the few people in Australia, you know, apart from other big advocates like Alex Wodak, he is really a big voice of vaping in Australia. Now, as far as I know, the prescription model in Australia started October 1st, and that's it. And that's where we're at. I don't know if there's any fighting against this, petitions or calls to actions or any sorts of things like that. Unfortunately, that's just where it is in Australia, which is weird because I think we're going to start selling our baked line in Australia. Which doesn't make much sense, but I think it's going to happen. One thing that, here, I wanted to say this about Australia too. The TGA, which is their, basically their FDA, their Therapeutic Goods Administration, the TGA. So the TGA did a press release today, November 2nd, warning consumers of counterfeit nicotine vaping products being sold online. Fake products known as counterfeits intimidate genuine vape products but may contain undeclared or hazardous ingredients. If a product contains nicotine but is not declared to contain nicotine on the product, it is a counterfeit product. And then they go on to say, they're warning Australians, about these counterfeit products. New laws were introduced October 1st, 2021, on how nicotine products may be imported and advertised in Australia. These laws were introduced to prevent adolescents and young adults from taking up nicotine vaping and potentially smoking, while also enabling current smokers to access these products for smoking cessation. What a magical product in Australia. One device can cause kids to smoke and adults to quit. It's incredible. It's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me that the Australian government said that. Be careful of counterfeit products because some of these will help adult smokers and some of them will make kids smoke. It's the same product. Australia doesn't know what
wildly different things.
Just wildly different things depending on if you're 18 or 20. Because if you're 18 and you vape, you'll smoke. But if you're 20 and you vape, you'll quit smoking. It's a miracle. Magical little device. Magical little device there in Australia.
It defies the laws of physics.
It defies the laws of all reality. How can you say that the same product will cause kids to smoke, but will also cause adults to quit? The same product.
Get with like a 2-year age difference. Like, come on.
Straya's in the weeds. Straya's rough spot right now, and I don't know what can be done in Straya other than just keep growing that black market, like have a booming black market, have such a good black market that people still continue to quit smoking in spite of what the government does. In spite of what the government does. Should we save all the good news till the end? No, let's see. Malaysia. When was the last time anybody talked about Malaysia and vaping? But there's actually some pretty good news to report in Malaysia. So Malaysia is a huge market. We kind of touched on this before. Big vaping market.
Lots of vapors. Yeah.
Lots of vaping. Lots of vaping. Jim McDonald in vaping360.com says one of the world's largest vaping markets will finally include legal nicotine when the Malaysian government formalizes its plans to regulate and tax vaping products. Consumer products containing nicotine are currently illegal in Malaysia, but the Malaysian harm reduction, it wasn't CAFRA. It was another guy. It was one particular guy in Malaysia who was like heading all of this up. Or maybe I'm getting that confused with somebody else.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of a different country. I've been trying to,
You've been looking at a lot of countries.
I've been looking at like 1,000 different countries today. Jim says, Malaysia has long enjoyed a large and thriving vape market, one of the largest in the world, despite nicotine being illegal to sell, except for licensed pharmacies and medical practitioners and for medical purposes only. Government enforcement of the law has been spotty, although police have occasionally conducted large-scale raids and seized products. Did you ever see any of those Malaysian raids on vape shops?
I did not.
Years ago, I remember in the vlog and like the news and advocacy, we were talking about Malaysia, and there was this group of Malaysian police officers all posing outside of a vape shop with their big score. It was like if it was like bricks of cocaine or something, but it was just bottles of e-liquid.
Oh, these drug war photos.
Just bottles of e-liquid. Yeah. Super drug war looking photo. They did not like vaping in Malaysia. The citizens did. The government did not. But here we are in 2021. It says consumer vape advocates from Move Malaysia, an industry trade group.
Oh, is that what you were thinking of?
It might have been what I was thinking of. Move Malaysia, an industry trade group, have worked energetically to promote reasonable regulations of nicotine vaping and have successfully reached the public with stories in major Malaysian news outlets. It says Malaysia will become a rare exception in Southeast Asia where vape bans are common. Rumors earlier this week that the government would soon legalize nicotine vaping caused anxiety among tobacco control groups in Malaysia.
Oh, cry more.
Cry more. Could you imagine that? Tobacco controllers getting all uppity in their panties about vaping.
About people quitting smoking.
Right, about people quitting smoking. The wrong way, though. It's the wrong way, Danielle.
The wrong way.
Switching isn't quitting.
Not this way, this way.
Yeah, switching isn't quitting. Switching isn't quitting, Danielle. So, good news in Malaysia. That's huge.
Good job, Malaysia.
I think that's a big deal in Malaysia. And, when I talk about like vaping being a global thing, we can use countries like Malaysia now and say, look at what they're doing with vaping. Look at what Malaysia's doing with vaping. Look at what Japan is doing with vaping. Look at what New Zealand is doing with vaping. These are all others examples of vaping being successful in these countries. And these can now become like, kind of like the UK is. A little bit of like, oh, look at that example. Look at that empathy. Look at that meeting people where they're at, getting them off cigarettes with the, Look at that. Examples. Unfortunately, we still live in the United States where we still have our Food and Drug Administration. We still have Mitch Zeller. We still have Mike Bloomberg. We still got all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike Bloomberg is going to be a reoccurring theme today, especially as we get into Europe, because that's all Mike Bloomberg cares about is ending vaping, ending nicotine addiction. It's insanity. It's insanity. Let's pop over to the Philippines. The Philippines have had a long ordeal, I would say, with vaping. Long ordeal with vaping. It's been illegal. It's been not legal. It's been illegal again. It's been FDA was caught taking money from foreign interest groups in the Philippines. And so after this was exposed, the Philippine government decided to craft their own legislation, and they have their own legislation now called the Vape Bill, which is going to do something similar. Hang on, let me get to my tab. If you could guess how many tabs I have open right now.
I don't even want to know.
It's bonkers. It's bonkers how many tabs I have open right now. Let me get to the Philippines. It will give me
anxiety if I see it. There's probably like 60.
Yeah. No, I mean, not quite that many, but it's definitely in the double digits. It's definitely in the double digits.
I get anxiety if I have more than like 5 open.
No. I have so many open, so many. So they have this vape bill. They're just calling it the vape bill. It's SBN 2239 in the Philippines. And what this is going to do is something very similar to Malaysia. It's going to legalize and regulate nicotine vapor products. And of course, there are people standing against this, as there would be. And the arguments that they're using are, believe it or not, youth vaping initiation. Where have we heard these talking points before? Youth vaping initiation, the poisoning aspect of it as well. That's a big deal. Look, but I want you to know, I don't know, I'm thinking of the wrong country again. I think I'm thinking of Australia, because Australia is big on this is a poison. There's been multiple calls to poison control centers, and it was something like 49 calls to poison control centers about nicotine between 2016 and 2021. It's like over the course of 6 years, there were 40 calls to poison control centers about nicotine.
And there were millions of calls about like household bleach or Lysol or, you know, whatever you have under your kitchen sink or in your bathroom, like drawers. Like,
yes.
Come on.
Yes.
That is
crazy.
That is a non-issue.
So that's what the Philippines is kind of, that's some of their talking points as well. There's lots of support for this bill, but there's also lots against this bill. This is just one of those things we're going to have to just see how it plays out. Because one of the things that this bill did that doesn't make any sense to me, if you're trying to legitimize vaping and legalize it and tax it, why then in that same bill would you lower the vaping age from 21 to 18? To get more smokers? Yeah, this vaping bill, one of the big reasons that there's so much pushback on this vaping bill is they're lowering the legal age from 21 to 18. And people are freaking out. And I'm like, that is a weird flex. Like, that's a weird move, Philippines, and I don't know why. I don't get it. To get more smokers? Are there more smokers between ages 18 and 21 that need vaping?
Is it just for vaping or is it for smoking?
I'm pretty sure it's just for vaping, because it's included. This vape bill is only for non-combusted tobacco products.
Well, maybe they're trying to increase like 18-year-olds who are smoking to get them to switch with vaping. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense, and I'm not against them lowering the age. It's just a weird move in the middle of controversy like that. Surprising, but I was never a fan of raising the age because
no, me neither.
I started smoking well before I was 18, so
13.
Didn't super help.
Yeah. Didn't super help. So if you're in the Philippines, I'm not exactly sure how it works in the Philippines. I think Duterte gets elected every 6 years or something like this. So I know there's Congress type people that you can reach out to and make sure that they're supporting this vape bill. Because if this vape bill passes, Philippines gets to vape again. And it would be a really good thing. So if you're in the Philippines, try to, again, I don't have any connections in the Philippines as far as like, I know there's the Coalition of Asia Pacific Harm Reduction Advocates, CAPFRA. You can join up with them. There's a lot going on in that Asia Pacific area. And now you have Malaysia. Malaysia's going the opposite way. So hopefully the Philippines gets on board, and hopefully this bill passes, and in the Philippines we can now get legal regulated, legal vaping products.
Vapes for everyone.
Vapes for everyone, which...
That's all I want.
I love hearing that about the Philippines because I'm very sentimentally attached to the Philippines through vaping because back in the day, everything cool in vaping came from the Philippines. I
do remember
mod,
that. They always had the best like hand-carved mods and stuff.
Yeah, high-end mechs, dope RDAs, like everything cool came from the Philippines. So I kind of, like, I'm sentimental about the Philippines and I want vaping to really succeed there. Really very much succeed there. So shout out to the Philippine vapors. Keep that party going. Keep that party going in the Philippines. What about Ukraine? What about Ukraine? I didn't know anything about Ukraine and vaping or vaping in the Ukraine, but apparently it's very illegal there. Very illegal. This is one of the, overarching themes of today is Mike Bloomberg and the World Health Organization. So all that the Ukraine really did was implement the World Health Organization's framework on tobacco control. They pulled an India and just straight up banned it all.
Oh, super.
Banned everything. So if you're in Ukraine, vaping is super illegal there because of the World Health Organization. Because of the World Health Organization. There was some pushback against this before it was implemented, but not really any at all. And now after the fact, there are lots of other European and UK-based public health agencies just kind of pointing out why this is ridiculous and why FCTC should not be going so forward with prohibitionist stances. And this organization, CAC, K-A-C, CAC.
Knowledge Action Change.
Action Change, CAC. No fewer smokers around the world in 2021 than when the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control was enacted. Global institutions insist safer nicotine products pose a threat when evidence shows they offer a significant opportunity to help smokers quit. Harm reduction, long integrated into World Health Organization's response to drugs and HIV and AIDS, but not smoking, which kills 8 million people a year. I'm glad that there's like important people and important organizations going after the World Health Organization. That gives me a little bit of, hope, faith, right? Someone has to stand up to the World Health Organization, and the Ukraine just banned vaping, like recently, like within the last, what was this, month? Oh, summer.
Did they full ban it, or did they just put a bunch of restrictions on it?
It just says restrictions on vaping products, including a ban on vape flavors, use in public spaces, any advertising, sponsorship, promotion of the products. So it's like a de facto ban. It's like you can't use it anywhere, you can't advertise it anywhere, you can't tell people about it, and you can't have flavors.
Yeah. Do it alone at home, unflavored, under your bed.
Yeah. Or go buy cigarettes, dude. They're everywhere. You could go to the store and buy cigarettes. You go to the convenience store, buy cigarettes. Buy cigarettes. Get your nicotine in the most dangerous way possible. Sigh. So that's the Ukraine, unfortunately. There is... where the hell did Zealand go? There was I had a little bit of New Zealand news. New Zealand is actually doing most everything pretty correctly as far as vaping goes. Oh, I don't have my Zealand flag. Oh, there it is. Yeah, New Zealand. Woo!
Oh, that is really similar to the Australian one.
Look at. It's
the little stars are just slightly different.
Yeah, let's see. Let's try to put these next to each other. Okay, so that's Zealand, Australia.
It's white stars instead of red stars and with white outlines.
And there's 2 missing stars.
Yeah, and that's very close.
Very close.
Paying careful attention to the stars.
Very close. Confused. I was confused. But here we are in New Zealand. Now, New Zealand, they started kind of doing everything right a long time ago. This is where A Billion Lives first premiered, and it made such an impact in the country that they're like, yeah, vaping, harm reduction, here we go. So they've been kind of going down that road. The problem is what we're running into in New Zealand is some more hot Mike Bloomberg action. Because there has been there's been some talk of alarming results from New Zealand's youth vaping survey. Alarming results. Apparently in New Zealand, there could be a youth vaping epidemic. 26% of students reported vaping and 15% reported smoking cigarettes in the past week. That is enough evidence for a gateway effect to be said, of course. Half of those that were vaping more frequently, and apparently this is something they track in New Zealand, higher nicotine doses as well. Higher nicotine doses. So the youths that admitted to vaping also admitted that this year they're vaping more nicotine than they were last year. Does that sound like information that a youth would just give up?
I don't know.
I would say no.
I have questions about that. It also says this is a voluntary and anonymous survey, which is a little like, is this one of these online ones, or how did they? I would be interested in learning about the methodology on this because it gets dicey.
It gets real dicey.
Like if this was an anonymous online survey, garbage, complete and total garbage.
Yeah, no credibility.
Maybe. More credibility if they actually like gave it in schools or, directly to students or something. It just depends. There's also like people, I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into this. And I don't know that I necessarily trust the Asthma and Respiratory Foundation of New Zealand to conduct a very accurate survey.
Right. So. Like accurate, but they said it's the biggest ever youth vaping survey. The biggest ever youth vaping survey.
I mean, large sample size is good. That's good. It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd need more details about this.
Yes, we everybody needs more details about this because they do the CDC thing where they go,
right.
We did this survey, and we're going to tell you the percentages of the data, and then you go, well, can we look at the data? And they go, no. Okay, well, where's the data?
You
can't
just
see it.
Us.
The data is available nowhere in this. They don't even reference to it where you can see the data.
Yeah, I don't know.
They just talk about it. They don't even... I mean, I feel like is it difficult to put references? Is it difficult to go, oh, youth smoking went up in San Francisco, and here's all of the data that shows it. Yeah. Here's my sources. Here's all of the data.
I don't know. I get very suspect when these advocacy organizations themselves try to conduct their own surveys. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even the CDC doing the National Youth Tobacco Survey has issues. So if this was just done by like a body parts group, like American Cancer Society did their own survey and here's what they found, I would throw that shit right out the window.
Right in the garbage.
Not into it.
Don't trust that for a second.
No.
Don't trust that for a second.
Yeah, I don't know. Because also when you do a survey and you know that they're looking for a certain outcome.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. They're looking for a certain outcome. And it's like,
there's all this complicated shit about how you word survey questions that can encourage people to. It's very
answer
complicated
in a certain
surveys.
way.
Yeah. Polling and surveys,
weighted
is a science.
Questions, loaded questions.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
exactly.
100%. And it kills me. They do that FDA thing where they're like, we got to tell the kids about vaping. We have to have an education thing about vaping to warn kids about the danger of vaping because some of them aren't aware of vaping. And it's like, okay,
maybe
well, they are now.
Yeah.
Like they are now, dummies. Why would you do that?
All your friends are doing it, but you shouldn't.
All your friends are doing it, and you shouldn't. It's like...
Also, it comes in fun flavors, and it's really easy to hide from your parents, but don't do it.
We need to educate more kids about vaping in New Zealand.
Every time I see those kinds of things, I just picture that meme. Like, what's that guy who's like, hello, fellow youths? Like,
yeah, Steve Buscemi, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Greetings, fellow youths.
That's it. Greetings, fellow youth.
Greetings, fellow youth.
Like, Do you not understand how psychology of a teenager works? Like,
No.
it's not that complicated.
No, it's not. I mean, it is, though, too. It is.
It is, but it's also not.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's also not. That's very true.
You have to understand the rules of the teenage brain, and then once you get those down, you can pretty much, like...
It'll make more sense.
Yeah.
It'll make more sense. Well, so that's where we're at in New Zealand. They're still vaping, but there are rumblings of a youth vaping epidemic in New Zealand.
We shall see.
We shall see. Let's see. We talked about the Philippines. Real quickly, Luxembourg. Luxembourg. This isn't directly related to vapings. Where I can't find it now. But Luxembourg, I thought this was great. Luxembourg is going to be the first European country to legalize weed. Legalize growing your own weed. In Luxembourg, you can grow 3 plants now of cannabis, and you won't go to jail. You know, if it's for personal use, you can grow 3 plants. And I think that's incredible. This is the first country in the European Union to like take on the EU Commission and go, we're going to legalize it. We're going to decriminalize it and make it legal for personal use. And we're going to let our citizens grow 3 plants. I think that's incredible.
That's dope. Do it. Grow your plants.
Do it. Grow your plants. Do it and grow your plants. Mm-hmm. So it's not directly vape related. I don't know the nicotine vape laws in Luxembourg. I'm assuming that Luxembourg is... I can't even find
Luxembourg on a map.
Privy to... it's near Belgium, I believe.
Yeah, I don't geography, man.
It's a tiny little country. Just a little spot. Just a little tiny little country, Luxembourg. Luxembourg's great. I've been through Luxembourg. Haven't stopped in Luxembourg. I don't know the vape laws there, though. I'm assuming... Like Ukraine, it's probably World Health Organization, FCTC.
I mean, that's a good guess.
It's a pretty reasonable guess that that's what's going on in Luxembourg. So that's what's going on in Luxembourg. And then I guess, lastly, is that really all of the countries? USA,
Malaysia, New Zealand,
Australia, New Zealand, UK, Luxembourg, Philippines.
You have one for EU.
Ukraine, EU. I guess that's where we're going to end up, is the EU. So this affects a multitude of countries. Do you know how many countries are privy to the FCTC, like the World Health Organization's framework on tobacco control?
I don't know exactly how many are in it. No.
Hundreds of countries, right?
I know it's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot of countries. And Europe is currently doing this whole beat cancer. Europe's beating cancer plan. We're going to beat cancer. We're going to beat it, but we're going to beat it without vaping or anything like that. It says Europe's beating cancer plan aims to create a tobacco-free generation by 2040. It is based on 4 key pillars: prevention, early diagnosis, treatment, and follow-up care, with 7 flagship initiatives and a number of supporting actions. Doesn't mention harm reduction in there at all. Doesn't mention less harmful alternatives, snus, smokeless tobacco, vaping. Doesn't mention any of that. Okay. I don't know how you're going to beat cancer without harm reduction, but that's okay.
I mean, a lot of this sounds like they're talking about like just any kind of cancer, like with skin cancer, prevention, early diagnosis, treatment, follow-up. I mean, that's your standard cancer.
When you think of cancer, you think of 2 cancers. You think of breast cancer, you think of lung cancer, and sometimes you think about prostate cancer. So when I read into
skin cancer,
skin cancer is a pretty common thing. I mean, that's a pretty common thing.
Did you say lung?
Lung, breast.
There's a lot of cancers.
That's like the 2 big cancers, though. They have their own things. It's like the lungs have their own health orgs, and Susan G. Komen, and we have pink ribbons for breast cancer and breast cancer awareness. And
that's
breast
true.
cancer is
there's a lot of advocacy for
there's a lot of advocacy for breast cancer. A lot of advocacy.
Rightly
for
so.
That. Right, absolutely. I mean, look, all cancer is actual cancer, so it's fucking terrible.
Yes.
But lung cancer, I mean, when you talk about cancer, you generally think of smoking and lung cancer and throat cancer in people. Smoking related cancer, which is easy to slow down and stop with less harmful alternatives. But the European Union is, look, they're privy to the FCTC, their World Health Organization all the way. So they're going to be pretty prohibitionist. They're unfortunately going to be pretty prohibitionist about this. My favorite part of this whole thing, besides what Clive Bates is a little cynical though, isn't he?
Well, Clive Bates is a legend.
He's a legend. I like Clive Bates a lot. He does come across to me as a little bit cynical. He says, European Union lawmakers seem more concerned with eliminating nicotine use than cancer. It's hard to know what motivates them, though. They say their goal is reducing cancer, but they act as though it's more to do with eliminating nicotine. I believe they will never succeed in achieving a nicotine-free society because it's a popular drug without harmful side effects and not very dangerous when consumed as smoke-free products.
I agree with all that.
I like what he says when he says the commission implicitly rejects the value of switching from high-risk products like cigarettes to low-risk products like snus. He says, this is a grave error, but I doubt it was by accident. There's that cynicalness, the cynicism of Clive Bates.
I feel like it's based on experience.
Yeah. I know. It's probably true. Clive Bates has a lot of lived experience in the field of tobacco control. So when he kind of like is a little bit snarky about it, saying this is a grave error, but I doubt it was by accident, kind of implying the EU, like they know full well, like
of course they do,
full well, this is not an accident. My other favorite part from this is, I don't know how the European Union continues to ignore snus and continues to ignore the Swedish experience.
I know, it's so ridiculous.
It's infuriating, dude. In Sweden, smoking is almost down to 5%. It's like hovering around this 5%. They're almost technically a non-smoking country.
Right.
Because of the direct product substitution between cigarettes and snus. That's it. And the European Union still is, snus is illegal.
Yeah, they banned it.
They banned it completely, despite all of the non-smoking happening in Sweden, where snus use is allowed to, propagate and proliferate everywhere.
And they have, from what I recall reading, they have like insanely low, I think the lowest like in the European Union, general cancer rates. Snus isn't causing cancer either any more than like any random person off the street could get cancer. So it's not like, because a lot of people falsely believe that smokeless tobacco and oral tobacco cause like crazy rates of cancer.
Yeah, totally doesn't.
A lot of people use snus in Sweden, and they have also one of the lowest cancer rates in the EU.
And they use snus. They embrace it. It's like a thing. Snus is a thing. We talked about those little snus boxes a couple of months ago, like the little Swedish snus boxes. Like, it's a thing. It's part of their culture. Part of their culture is to not have cancer, and they're succeeding really, really well. I mean, Sweden is killing it. Not literally, figuratively killing it with snus. They're just killing it. And now in the U.S., we have FDA saying that snus is a reduced harm product. Snus is just as big of a harm reduction as vaping is. And it's crazy to me that you can look at cold data of cancer rates in Sweden. Cold data of cancer rates in Sweden, and then the European, the parliamentary group goes, nope, still illegal.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are the only option. It doesn't make any sense to me, European Union. Does not make one lick of sense to me, European Union. So that's where we're at, kind of, I guess, with the European Union. They're trying to beat cancer, but they're trying to do it without vaping. I'm assuming it's European Union, FCTC, prohibition, framework on tobacco control. And that's our trip around the globe.
But we have to do the UK, though, right?
Oh, yeah, we do have to do the UK. How did we not end up in the UK? We're like, That's the
I thought
most
we were saving it
one.
for
We're
last.
saving the best one for last. In fact, let me take a bio break real quickly.
Oh.
So, yeah, you can just...
I'm just going to talk to you guys in chat.
Yeah,
hey, chat.
It's whatever. Run the show. It's your YouTube now.
I'm just doing whatever. Okay, let's see what's going on. Somebody talked about Swedish fish in chat. You guys, I love Swedish fish, okay? They're delicious. I'll tell you a short story. So, we bought Halloween candy, right? For Halloween. This is our first Halloween in this apartment that we now live in, and I thought perhaps we would get some trick-or-treaters. So we bought a bag of like one of those variety packs, but I picked one of the good ones that had like Swedish fish and like Sour Patch Kids and Reese Cups and Kit Kats, like the good candy. Oh, Twizzlers. That's my definition of a good variety pack of candy. So we bought it, not a huge one because I didn't want us to have too much, but like a decent sized one. No trick-or-treaters. 0 trick-or-treaters showed up at my house. It was incredibly depressing. My husband was all ready. He got dressed. He put on the Iron Man helmet. He was going to answer the door. It was a whole thing. And no trick-or-treaters. I mean, what are we going to do with candy when we have no trick-or-treaters? Well, apparently we're going to eat some of it ourselves.
Yeah.
And that happened. So we definitely didn't eat the entire bag, although my husband has to hide the rest. That's what's going on, okay? Because I just can't. It will call to me. That bag of candy, I will hear it whisper sweet nothings in my ear across the apartment. Like,
yes.
So it's hidden somewhere, hopefully. Last I saw, he put it in the closet, and I was like, I know, I'm watching you put it in the closet, friend. Like,
I can see the candy.
And he was like, well, I mean, if you're going to eat it, just don't eat it in front of me. And I'm like, no, you have to hide it from me. Like, get creative. Like, somewhere. I'm going to have to. Part of me is like, go check and see if it's still there. And the other part's like, don't do it.
You should go.
Because we're on like a very restrictive diet. I am not supposed to be eating candy, you guys. Like, not even a little bit remotely supposed to be eating that. But I want it so bad. And that's your little story time, is that I ate candy on Halloween when I wasn't supposed to because we got no trick-or-treaters and we had a bag of candy.
See, the first year we moved here, I thought we would get a ton of trick-or-treaters. Got 0. Same situation. We ended up, it was like, we went overboard. I was like, we live in the suburbs now, dude. We're going to get so many trick-or-treaters. We got to stock up. I like decorated the house. I was so pumped. None. It was depressing. It was my first Halloween here was the most depressing Halloween because I got 2 kids. One kid dressed as Spider-Man. Another kid, I don't even remember what he was wearing. 2 trick-or-treaters. That's it. That bums me out.
Yeah.
And then we had to eat candy.
I knew not to go crazy because I had a theory. I was like, babe, so our street that we live on is like a bunch of apartment complexes, like independent, like one landlord who owns a building that has like 8 units in it. It's a lot of the mini apartment complexes. And then the entire neighborhood surrounding us is all like single family detached homes. So I was in my head, I was talking to my husband. I was like, babe, what if they skip our street? They might skip our street and go to all the houses. You know what I mean? And he was like, no, they'll come. And I was like, okay, but let's not buy too much candy because I think there's a definite possibility that none are going to come. I ended up being right.
You ended up being right. That's okay. That's fine.
I'm just saying. But I did get to eat some candy.
So you did gorge on some candy. Yeah. We did the same thing.
Maybe I'm okay with being wrong.
See, we did the same thing. And like, we just didn't care. We just kept eating the candy. We're like, fuck these kids. Let's just eat this candy. And then it got to the point where like, I didn't want candy anymore.
Oh, I can't hit that point.
I got there. I didn't think I could, but it happened to me. I went and I grabbed a handful of candy and I got back to the couch and I opened my hand. It's like Tootsie Roll, Laffy Taffy, bottle caps, like everything I love. And I'm just looking at it going, I don't like
that old-fashioned candy.
No more. I can't.
I like new
eat
candy.
Any more candy? What's new candy?
Okay, new candy is Sour Patch Kids, red licorice, like Twizzlers.
Red licorice. You're telling me red licorice is new candy? I've been eating red licorice since I was 0.
If it was Red Vines, that would be like older, but Twizzlers is like newer. Okay, Reese Cups.
I'd say Twizzlers is like 30 years old.
Swedish Fish.
Swedish Fish is like the oldest candy on earth.
Okay, that's the only old candy I like is Swedish Fish.
All candy is old candy. Only good old candy is good candy. New candy kind of sucks.
No, I'm into new candy. I like new candy. There's I don't like Whoppers. I don't like.
You don't like Whoppers?
No, what is that? It's like a
Whoppers.
Plain Cocoa Crispy with shitty chocolate.
It's a malted milk ball, and they're for the Whoppers used to be my go-to theater candy.
No,
every movie I saw for like
Twizzlers.
Decades of my life was Whoppers.
Sour Patch Kids.
Whoppers.
No. You guys, okay, I feel like you have to agree with me on this. The best movie candy, okay, is you buy M&Ms and then you buy buttered popcorn and then you mix them together and you eat them. That is the best movie theater candy.
Wait, what is it? One more time.
M&Ms.
Okay.
M&Ms. You can get any kind you want. You want plain, you want peanut, you want whatever you want.
I want peanut.
And then you mix it with buttered popcorn. Savory, sweet, salty,
I could see that
sweet.
kind of being a thing.
Oh, it's so good. If you've never done it, y'all need to stop watching right now. Go to the movies.
Stream's over.
Get you a
Go
popcorn
to the movies.
and M&Ms and mix it. I prefer it with the peanut M&Ms personally, but you do you. You mix them together in your mouth. Or if you don't want to mix, you could grab a handful of this one, handful of this one, and then together.
I get that. I am personally, let me answer this real quick question in the chat. Barbara, yes, I would like a gingerbread house. You should send me a gingerbread house to decorate, and I will decorate it. I like decorating gingerbread houses. Now, I am a big fan of the mouthful mixing of foods in that I like to, sometimes it's like I'll take some almonds and some cheese and some chocolate, and I'll put it all in my mouth and just eat it.
I was with you, except for the cheese.
I know, but the cheese is the best part. The cheese, let me tell you.
With chocolate?
With chocolate and like almonds or some sort of like a cashew or something like that. It's amazing.
I could do the cheese and the nut the chocolate and the nut, but not the cheese and the chocolate.
Cheese and chocolate go great together.
No.
What are you kidding me? Dark chocolate, sharp cheddar.
No.
You should try it. I'll try
it's across
the popcorn
my food
thing.
boundaries. No, popcorn thing is objectively amazing. Cheese and chocolate is not objectively amazing, okay? That's like, I'll do a little hop, but you have to jump out of a plane, right? No, I'm not doing that. That is not a fair trade.
Skittles and popcorn? That's not I feel like
Skittles?
that might be a negative experience.
I don't know about Skittles and popcorn.
See,
that's like sugary sweet. I mean, Skittles are great. Don't get me wrong. I don't know that I would eat them with popcorn.
I probably wouldn't eat them with popcorn.
Go with the M&Ms. That's a better pairing.
It reminds me of The Simpsons. There was that Simpsons joke where they had a product in Springfield called nuts and gum together at last.
That sounds gross.
Sounds terrible. Sounds terrible, but that's kind of what the popcorn and the M&Ms made me think of.
See, thank you, Jason. He says no cheese and chocolate. Thank you. Thank you, chat.
Vape and Wolf. Listen, this is my chat, so they're more loyal to me than they are to Danielle Jones.
You guys, back me up.
Two,
cheese does not
Vape
go with
and
chocolate.
Wolf, chocolate and cheese works. Thank you, Vape and Wolf. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Jason says no cheese and chocolate. All right, no cheese and chocolate. Baguette, cheese, chocolate, and wine. Yeah, exactly, Mowgli. It's a very Parisian.
What do you like, putting them all together and dunking them in the wine? What's happening right now?
No. You enjoy them separately, and then you let the flavors coalesce in your mouth hole.
I don't know.
I love cheese with everything too, Jordan. I'm here for it. I'm here for cheese time. Let's actually talk about the UK real quick.
Yeah, let's get sorry.
Because
you went to the bathroom and then I went candy crazy.
And then all hell broke loose.
It's not my fault.
But let's see if we can hear this.
UK.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, huge news out of the United Kingdom. Just when you thought that the United Kingdom couldn't stand behind vaping any more than they already do, they're going to actually officially now, I don't know if it's through the NIH service, prescribing e-cigs for smokers to quit smoking.
Right.
Actual, not the Australian only prescription model.
No.
But the UK has a additional prescription model. This is for, in my opinion, the way that I read this was, this is for the smokers who still don't trust vaping. Right, this is for the smokers who are misinformed, who aren't ready to try vaping yet. Coming from their doctor, they might be a little bit more inclined to try it if it's in the form of an official prescription from a doctor.
Right. And so the way I understand it is they're opening up a new pathway for certain products, kind of like sort of, but not, but sort of like the FDA pathway of like, okay, you can go through this and then become like a medically licensed product, which then your doctor can prescribe. But all the regular vapes in the vape shop are still going to be available. It's just if certain products want to go down this pathway, then they can, and then doctors can actually prescribe them, and they would actually be covered by the national health system, you know.
Their single payer healthcare system.
Right.
Prescribe. I think this is awesome. I love the shit out of this. There's nothing I don't like about this. It's great. It is going to help more smokers. It's going to help smokers who are on the fence maybe have a little bit more confidence in the technology because it's being prescribed by a doctor to them.
Right.
It further legitimizes the technology of vaping. And I love that the UK did this because now there is an even bigger disparating, gap between how the US regulates vaping and how the UK regulates vaping. It's grown even bigger now and become more apparent and more of just an eyesore. More of that. And that's what we need. This is great news. Shout out to the UK.
Because then also, if there are people who can't afford vapor products, for example, getting it via prescription through their, healthcare system, I think it's like virtually free.
Yeah,
basically,
you just pay zero.
So
you just pay whatever.
Helps with disparities, with wealth and income and things like this. I think there's a lot of great stuff about this. I know that there are a few people who have brought up some potential concerns to keep an eye on.
Let's hear the potential concerns here.
So potential concerns to keep an eye on are making sure that this pathway is in fact doable, right? Because one thing we know about regulatory pathways is just because they exist doesn't mean they're doable,
as we've seen.
I've heard some criticism that this pathway needs some work, some streamlining. So hopefully, perhaps, those issues would get resolved. I have heard some people comment that they're a little worried about the possible potential that, products that, let's say, do get through this pathway in the future might want, because of how companies can be, some sort of crackdown on products that are not gone through this pathway. Companies are competitive, and how it goes. So keep an eye out, making sure that this is an option. You don't want Australia, not the only way that vapes can come to market, just one of the possible ways. So kind of keeping an eye on those two things to make sure that the pathway is actually doable, and that it doesn't completely eliminate the non-prescription, pathway.
Yeah, and that is a really good point. I could see that kind of, unfortunately, possibly becoming some sort of reality, especially with the idea of like shops or convenience stores. If there is what do they call them in the UK? Chemist. If there's a chemist open.
Oh, like a pharmacy?
Like a pharmacy. Or even like a convenience store, I could see them wanting to only stock approved, like NIH approved e-cigs or something like that, and not necessarily
businesses do that stuff. You
you
gotta keep an eye out. They're slippery little guys sometimes. So just making sure that doesn't become a thing, right? Because we've seen that here in the US, right? Like companies that if they get a PMTA, of course they're going to be all like, well, if you don't have a PMTA, I did all this work, so you don't get to freeload and keep selling with it. They get competitive. They want, the advantage. It's what companies do.
It's what companies do.
Keeping an eye on that and making sure that nobody gets a little wiggy. You want both.
Nobody gets a little wiggy.
Options.
That and like even worser case scenarios. Now that I'm just spinning out in my head about this, there could be. Look, we know that the 2009 Family Smoking Prevention control shit was written by Big Tobacco.
Yep.
Campaign for Tobacco for Kids and Big Tobacco both wrote this.
Yep.
What terrifies me in the UK is the ability. They have very, 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 very low, like third lowest or something with tobacco influence. But the idea that one of these maybe overzealous vape companies that are approved in the UK could attempt to sway Parliament. I don't know exactly how it works, but maybe our product is the only legal product.
Right.
In a legislative way. That's garbage. That's
so we want to make
cronyism,
sure
and it's terrible.
That's not a thing.
Yeah, we have to make sure that that's not a thing. Have to.
But other than those two potential, stumbling points.
Yeah.
Let people get it through the NHS and get it for like free and from their doctor. And yes.
Yeah.
Dope.
Smoking rates in the United Kingdom are going to go crazy down even more. Even more. And the UK is really like, I'm not trying to put all my eggs in the UK basket, but they are strongly standing up to the World Health Organization. COP9, I feel like I've been talking about this forever, but COP9 is happening like next week.
Yeah.
Here.
And there's the anti-event that's going on.
Scope.
Right? Yeah, Scope. Alex and I are doing a thing if you guys want to come watch.
Oh, are you? Yeah, there's a big live stream going on all day long during COP9, but it's Scope. I think I mentioned this on the vlog maybe. Scope. I had like 3 Scope tabs open. But now I don't know where any of my Scope tabs are. But yes, Scope.
Alex and I are doing our segment is assuming I have all the time zone things right, which I'm pretty sure I do. Me and Alex are going on Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, my time.
Okay.
So Monday the 8th at 4 p.m. is when our segment is. It's an hour. So if you guys want to come watch, Yahoo. Oh, did your camera go out? Is it my show again?
Yep, take over. It's the Danielle
So
Jones
you guys,
show.
candy. Let's talk some more. I'm just kidding. Or soap. Let's talk. You guys want to talk about soap? You like soap, don't you? You want to hear all about how I make
Not
it?
as much as Danielle Jones does.
You don't. Although there is an interesting amount of people that are very fascinated with my soap making that I learned when I used to do another YouTube show called That's What She Said.
Oh, yeah.
People really like to hear that. I still get people who are like, how's the soap making going? John Haymaker loves to ask me about my soap making.
Yeah.
Makes me happy.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on quite right. There it is. Here we go. We're back. I'm back. I'm back in a second. Just
in a second.
It's the delay. I think it should. There it is. Ha.
There you go.
Ha.
So Scope. Monday,
Scope.
4 p.m. Pacific. If you want to see me and Alex, there's tons of cool people doing cool panels. CAFRA is the organization heading this up. So I believe if you follow them on Twitter, they have schedules of everything. Time zones are hard, but I believe in
Super
you guys,
difficult.
and you can do it.
I'll put all the pertinent links that you need to watch the Scope stream down in the description below. I'll link to the Coalition of Asia Pacific Harm Reduction Advocates Twitter. They're a great Twitter account to follow, if you want to keep up on that side of the world with vaping regulations and stuff like that. Really great account. And Scope. And how many people are involved in this Scope? It's dozens and dozens of people, like dozens and dozens of specialists.
Like 24/7 for almost a week. There's a lot of slots. So
there's a lot of slots. Yeah.
It's like anytime you're awake, you can find something to watch. Let me tell you. Like I got a little glance at the schedule. It's crazy. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. A little glance.
Oh no. Where is he? Is he coming?
Oh no, he's not here. All I have is Raja. Hello.
Do you remember that time that I broke myself laughing so hard when I pretended to be his arms?
Yes, that was still top 10 like funniest moments ever on this YouTube. 100%.
I broke. I was crying. It was bad. I just thought it was hysterical.
You broke hard.
You guys in chat, you're so cute. I don't sell my soap, you guys. I just make it for friends and do trades and stuff.
Can't buy it. Here's one. Oh, Canada, our home and native land.
That's not in our Google Doc. What's going on?
I know. I'm throwing the whole system off. Okay,
surprise switcheroo. Is that what you're doing?
It is. It's a surprise switcheroo. I learned from the best. I learned from Mitch Zeller about the surprise switcheroo. Well, let's end with Canada. Canada is in the weeds as well. They're in a real rough spot. They've had, there's a flavor ban on the books. I don't know that it's fully come to fruition yet, but Canada's in a rough spot. I did get some Canada news off of Twitter from Rights for Vapors, I believe, tweeted this out. And they tweeted out saying that Health Canada and Rights for Vapors are hosting a webinar together. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work, but it says Rights for Vapors is hosting a webinar with Health Canada, and we want to ask them your questions. So I'm going to put a link down in the description to where you can submit a question to ask Health Canada directly about vaping, because evidently Rights for Vapors and Health Canada are doing this webinar together. I don't know what could possibly come of this. You can ask Health Canada your questions directly about vaping, I'm assuming. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if you're going to get answers. I don't know if this is going to change policy or anything like that. But here, I'll put this Google Doc in the chat. I'll put this Google Doc in the description. That is all I could find on Canada, other than everything kind of sucks there, like everything kind of sucks here in Canada. Flavor ban, use bans, different territories are treating it in different ways. In Nova Scotia, there's a flavor ban, but like across the river or whatever, the lake, there's not a flavor ban. So Canada's trying to get all on the same page as well with vaping. So the only positive thing I saw, again, not to repeat myself into the ground, you can ask Health Canada a question if you want to. If you're up for it, I think you should ask Health Canada a question and watch this webinar. And, okay, then lastly, this is the last... Oh, no. Never mind. It already happened. It already happened.
Are we out of things to talk about?
Yeah, I was going to mention that, I guess I can still mention it. It still exists, but the Global State of Tobacco Harm Reduction, the Fighting the Last War live stream that happened, that's like 4.5 hours long with dozens of different experts. Clive Bates was on there. I saw Adam Breezetones post about it today, and I started watching it, but I looked at it and went, oh, this is 4 hours long. All right. But this is like, I don't know, the alternative COP9? Kind of.
Scope is the alternative COP9.
Scope is the alternative COP9, but there is the GSTHR stream that I'll put a link down to down in the description. And I guess what I want to leave everybody with today is that we are part of a global community of harm reduction advocates, ex-smokers, and vapors. This is a global movement. And I've talked about winds changing, tides changing. That's kind of happening all over the place. And where they're not changing, they're going to change, because the antis are just doubling down on all of their bad speaking points about gateway effects and, hogwash. That's what I'm going to call it. There's brainworms. It's hogwash. It's all hogwash. The science is going to win. The science is already winning. The science won a little bit in the United States. We got a View Solo. Where's my View Solo? Oh, no. Oh, that's right. I put it up on my shelf. I put it on display.
You're done with it?
I'm done vaping it. I put my View Solo. Here, I'll get it. But I put it in a very important display spot next to a lot of other really important vape things. And this is like a monumental the first approved e-cig from FDA. Yep. This is going to go in the Smithsonian of vaping right there. Authorized. The first
just
authorized.
For the historical accuracy.
I know, authorized. I know it's authorized. We did have one other super chat from Sewer Rug that just came in. Thank you for your education as always. Caught this one way too late, so replay crew for me. I really appreciate that, Sewer Rug. Get on that replay. Lots of good information. Appreciate you, bro. I'm going to slide in those DMs and we'll talk about an RTA. Sounds good, right? I know it does, Sewer Rug. I know it does. So yeah, we're a global community. This is being fought in all countries across the globe, and there's been advancements. Places like New Zealand, places like Malaysia, places like Venezuela are legalizing, taxing, and regulating vaping for adults. And that's the way that this is going to go. But man, it's just going to take a really long time to get there, I think.
I know.
A really long time, especially if you consider that after 14 years, this is the first authorized e-cig from FDA, and the technology has already moved light years past this. Light years.
Like some 2012 stuff.
Light years past this. It is crazy. So the science is winning. It's just real slow.
Yeah, it's going to take time. This is a war, not a battle.
This is a war, baby. This is a war. This is going to be a years-long war. And look, I'm here for it. My anticipation for COP9 next week is through the roof. Like through the roof. I can't wait. I can't wait.
We're not
going to
be able to know what's happening.
We're not going to be able to know. Yeah, closed doors. They don't invite anybody. That was another thing
let
from
the media come in.
That was another thing from the Philippines too. I might as well throw the Philippines country flag up here while we're talking about them. Tobacco farmers in the Philippines are really upset with World Health Organization as well, because they are restricted from attending, even though they are stakeholders in the industry. Giant tobacco farmers. I was reading the Philippine tobacco farmers are not happy about being left out of COP9. Industry stakeholders are not happy of being left out of COP9. It's crazy what will get you ejected from COP9. Crazy. Something's going to change. Something's going to happen. That's it. That's all I know how to say. Something's going to change. Something's going to happen. We already see it happening.
Eventually we'll win, guys. Just got to hang in.
And one of the things, I've been holding on to this little statement for years now, but I had the opportunity to meet and talk to the great Alex Wodak from Australia, harm reduction guy from Australia, career harm reduction guy in Australia. And he said something to me that stuck with me when he said, harm reduction always wins. These measures always win.
Because they work. Because they actually work.
Because they're effective and they work. And you can only pretend that they're not effective for so long.
Yep.
They're always effective. They always work. Harm reduction will always win. It's just a matter of time. And I went,
people eventually,
okay, Alex Wodak, like this is your career. You've been in this space your whole life. I'm trusting you that the science is going to win on this. And I'm trusting him, and it's winning.
It becomes negligence at some point to continue ignoring it, because you could be saving people's lives and you're not, just because you don't like it.
Right. And imagine, like, okay, it's time for a bad analogy. I want to end this stream with a bad analogy. It's time for a bad analogy. Cars. I love the car analogy. Car analogy. And I got to thinking about the Australia prescription model not making any sense, and trying to figure out a way to explain that so that someone else would go, okay, yeah, that doesn't really make any sense. And the car analogy is the only analogy I can come up with. And it would be the idea that, like, cars are dangerous, and in an effort to stop, casualties from car accidents, we're going to enforce fines if you roll through a stop sign. We're going to enforce exorbitant fines if you go through a stoplight. There's going to be exorbitant fines for speeding. These are the things that will help traffic collisions. And then someone on the outside would go, well, what about harm reduction? Like, what if we put a big poofy balloon that pops out so that when you get in a collision, the person doesn't die? What about something like that? It's the equivalent of them going, well, if you wanted to, you could get a prescription to have this feature in your car.
And you pay for it.
And you have to decide how much you're going to drive throughout the whole year so that your airbag prescription lasts that long.
Right.
Because if you get to the end of the year and your airbag prescription has run out, we're just going to come to your house and cut the airbag out of your car, and you'll just have to drive the dangerous way from now on.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No.
That makes no sense. And that's a little bit of a straw man argument, but that's the only thing that made sense to me. Like, people standing against harm reduction, what if we just prevented people from dying, not preventing the things they do that we might not like?
Exactly.
Crazy. Anyway, that's my rant about harm reduction and a bad analogy with cars. Or seatbelts. You could do the same thing. It's like they come and cut the seatbelts out of your car. Now you have to drive the dangerous way until you can refill your prescription to get the harm reduction products you need for your car.
Right.
It wouldn't make any sense.
You can only get a bicycle helmet by prescription only.
See, that's a much better analogy. Yeah, motorcycles or bicycles. You can only get a helmet by prescription. And without a prescription, you're just going to have to do it the really dangerous way with it's readily available everywhere. Or just don't do it at all
because we like that.
Or just don't do it at all because #prohibition.
Yeah, because we don't really like bicycles, so we don't think you should be riding them anyway.
Replace airbags with Jiffy Pop popcorn. I feel like that would not help in the case of a collision. I feel like Jiffy Pop popcorn would take way too long to pop, wouldn't offer that much comfort with your face hitting it.
It would give you a snack while you're waiting for EMS.
It would give you a snack. Well, yeah, while you're waiting to be scraped off the pavement.
But other than that, no.
Get some Jiffy Pop popcorn. Yeah. So, look, that's just where we're at with vaping. That's just where we're at. And I'm not going to continue repeating myself, but I'm here for it. Yeah, more seatbelt. Exactly. More seatbelt means it's safer. You know, big, long seatbelt. Big, safe, long seatbelt. That's what you need. Yeah. That's what you need. So, shout out to all the countries doing vaping right. Shout out to all the countries doing vaping wrong. Keep going. Keep fighting for what's right. You know, this is... it's going to come to a point. I'm just going to make a prediction. It's going to come to a point where it will be so plainly obvious that vaping is better than smoking that people will go, how could you have ever thought any different? How could you have ever thought any different? Well, how
one's
on earth?
Fire, one's not.
Yeah, one's fire, one's not. One's fire, one's not. It's going to be so plainly obvious that it's less harmful, and people who were previously anti-vaping are going to flip and go, yes, how could I have seen this any other way? So plainly obvious. So plainly obvious. Anyway.
I really wonder what it's going to look like if they eventually flip. Like, what is that going to look like? Like, well, finally we hit the threshold of enough science.
Right.
And now we can say,
finally,
what's going to be their thing. Or like, well.
See, that just makes me think of the burn pits from Jon Stewart.
I know.
How much science is enough science?
You guys, if you guys have Apple Plus, you need to be watching Jon Stewart's new show called The Problem with Jon Stewart.
It's so good. It's spectacular.
That's why we were passionately discussing the economy right before the stream.
Had a very lively discussion about the economy.
Yes, very lively. You guys, you got to watch it. If you have the Apple Pluses, watch his
Apple
show.
TV Plus, Jon Stewart, he's great. He's never not been great. He's always been great. And I couldn't not, when I was watching that first episode when he was talking about, well, how much science do you need?
Yeah.
I was going, FDA,
vaping.
FDA,
yeah,
FDA,
exactly.
FDA. How much science do you need? How much science do you need?
This is not the only area where this happens, you guys.
It's a great show. So we're going to wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys coming out, staying informed, being part of the fight. You know, not everybody's cut out for advocacy life or that, legislative life. And thankfully, I'm happy to have a bunch of subscribers that are here for the cause. And I really appreciate you guys being here. Science is going to win. It's always going to win. Always. Every single time. So from all of us here at the TBN headquarters, thank you so much for watching. Always keep vaping, do the CASA calls to actions, and just defend vaping. Just defend it, bro.
Yep.
Just defend it. Okay, we're just going to do the wavy exit because I have no outro. Bye.
Oh, yeah, bye.
See you later. Hang on. Keep waving. Bye, guys. Oh, wait, we got a super chat. Keep waving.
Oh, okay.
Keep waving during the super chat. Vape and Wolf says, save the world, make clouds. Yes. Save the world, make clouds.